What's up, freaks and geeks? Welcome to episode 4 of the UPLATE podcast. Thank you for tuning in. This episode is brought to you by Fueled When Faded, of course, like always. What should we talk about today, guys? Well, I have a couple questions. I just kind of pulled them off the internet and thought I would answer them on the podcast since I have nothing else to talk about. I just felt like I needed to put out a podcast. It's been a while, it's been a minute since I even put out a gaming video or two, which I apologize for. I went through a job change, so I just haven't really been spending too much time gaming, but that's okay. So I'm here now for this podcast, and tonight, what are we going to talk about? Well, like I said, I pulled up a couple questions from the internet, and I'm going to answer them. So the first question is, what are 3 books you recommend to your audience and why? Which I thought was a really interesting question. So we're going to start out with that. What are 3 books I would recommend to you guys? Okay, well, I don't know. I really don't know right now. I'm going to have to think about it for a second here. One book that I would recommend is Blood and Gold by Ralph Compton, which is a book that I read when I spent time in jail. Just for, stupid little probation violations, whatever. But yeah, this was a couple years ago, and I remember when I was in jail, I read this Western called Blood and Gold, written by a guy called Ralph Compton, who writes all kinds of Westerns. And I absolutely loved that book. I think I read it twice when I was in there, actually. That's how much I loved it, because you're only supposed to have like 3 or 4 books at a time or something like that, and I remember I kept that one for like 2 durations because I liked it so much. It's about a young dude. He's like oh God, what is he? I think he's just like a ranch hand or something like that, And the ranch he works for has like some gold that needs transported to a different ranch or something, and he tries to take it. He tries to transport it, and then he gets interrupted by other mean cowboys. He gets interrupted by Indians, Apaches, and it's just a really good fucking story, dude. It's hell bent though. I don't know I don't really know what word to use, but it's hell bent. It's kind of a dark. It's well, I wouldn't really say it's dark, but it's definitely in that ballpark of being kind of crazy. It's definitely it's a story that I would, like, if I was a movie director or something, or like a writer, like, I would turn that book into a movie. I'm surprised it hasn't been yet. So yeah, that's number 1. Oh God, what is number 2? What book would I recommend to you guys to read for number 2? Well, I don't know. See, I'm looking at all these books right now, and I haven't read a single one of them. Halloween 2018, the novelization, is pretty good. My girlfriend bought me all 3 Halloween novelizations for Christmas last year, and by all 3, I mean the latest trilogy of our time, which is Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, and then Halloween Ends. So I have all 3 of those novelizations. So I'm just going to kind of throw all those into one and say I enjoy reading a book about a movie that I absolutely love. So yeah, I'll just say the Halloween trilogy for number 2. Number 3, what book would you recommend? Well, gosh, right now I've read a couple of these stories out of Stephen King's Night Shift, which is a pretty cool, weird little book that is basically just Stephen King's best short stories compiled into one. It even includes the Children of the Corn in there, so that's pretty cool. But I read this one called what was it, Night Shift? Or no, that's the name of the book. I think it's called Graveyard Shift. Yeah, the Graveyard Shift. It was a very weird read. I think it was like 12 or 13 pages. I don't know. It was it wasn't very long, but there's a movie out there about it. I've never seen it. I'm sure some of you have. If you have, comment down below and let me know your thoughts so I can check it out. But yeah, I'm just gonna say for number 3, The Night Shift. I haven't read much of it. For those of you who know The Stand by Stephen King, there's a story in this book that is basically the basis of The Stand, like the short story that kind of birthed that huge fucking book. I have The Stand right now. I'm looking at it right now. I've never read it. It's huge. It's a huge book. I still yet to have to read The Shining. I've never read that. My girlfriend's read The Shining, and I was kind of interrogating her the whole time she read it, and I'm just kind of like, what's going on? Like what? Because that's like one of my favorite movies of all time, the Stanley Kubrick version anyway. The weird little TV miniseries was okay, and I do know that series was trying to follow more on the original novel by Stephen King, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying it was strange. It was a bit different, but maybe that's because a lot of us, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate when I say this, when you watch the Stanley Kubrick Shining for the first time without reading the book or anything like that, then that's like your home base Shining. Like I don't know. See, that's why I need to read The Shining, because I'm like, all right, how did Stanley Kubrick get this from that? Because I feel like a lot of us that haven't read The Shining but are big fans of the Kubrick film look at it and they're like, oh, this is The Shining, but it's really not. He changed it quite a bit, believe it or not. The Kubrick Shining is actually very different from the book, especially from the things that I've heard, like from my girlfriend and like just the mini TV series and whatever. You could tell it's like two whole different worlds. But Stanley Kubrick was a different breed. So yeah, that is my 3 recommendations of books for now anyway. Maybe in a couple episodes or 2 we'll come back to this question and I'll give you 3 different books to go check out. But let's move on to the next question, which is very similar to the first one, and that is, what are 3 movies you would recommend to the audience and why? Alright, this one's a little bit easier. See, if the first question said, what are 3 comic books that you recommend, I would have hit it off the bat. We wouldn't be here for almost 9 minutes talking about books. But maybe that's a good question. After I'll do this movie question, what are 3 movies, and then we'll shut the podcast down with what are 3 comic books. How's that? So, what are 3 movies I would recommend to the audience? Well, my number 1 movie of all time, and if you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it right now, and that is Pulp Fiction, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sure most of you already know what that is and who it's written by. I'm sorry. God. Sorry, folks. My throat was getting a little dry there, but I'm back. So yeah, Pulp Fiction is definitely one of the best, greatest movies ever. So I'm going to say that one. And then for my second movie recommendation, right now, I kind of want to say Psycho. You guys should go watch Psycho. Um, a lot of you, and I don't mean to sound disrespectful or nothing, but I mean a lot of you older folks out there who are listening, you know what Psycho is, right? Norman Bates, Bates Motel, Alfred Hitchcock. You know the whiplash of it all. But to the younger audience who enjoys horror and terror, whatever, I'm telling you right now, if you haven't seen the original Psycho from horror mastermind Alfred Hitchcock, then I would definitely recommend go watch it right now. I believe it's on Netflix right now. They may have taken it off. I'm not sure, but yeah, the original Psycho is one of the greatest fucking movies I've ever seen, dude. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. And like, I'm a huge horror fan, and I didn't even know much about that movie until just like last year when I actually sat down and watched it. I'm sorry, guys. I got a dry throat today. The one day I choose to do the fucking podcast, my throat starts getting all dry and then I can't speak right. Ain't that some shit? Anyway, but yeah, Psycho is my number 2 recommendation. And why? Like I said, it's from horror mastermind Alfred Hitchcock. Not even a horror mastermind. He's just a mastermind in film making in general. He's one of my inspirations. Big time, always. What would number 3 be? What would number 3 be? I don't know. Let me think of a good movie for you guys to go watch. For my recommendation number 3. I think I'm gonna go with The Terrifier. If you guys haven't seen that, definitely go check out The Terrifier. Now, the new one just came out, Terrifier 2, last October, and it just set the bar for goriness, bloodiness, brutalness, fucking dark humor. There's so much dark humor in that movie. God, I'm sorry about my hoarse throat here, guys. I hope whoever's still listening, thank you for still listening. But yeah, go check out The Terrifier and The Terrifier 2. I'm going to just kind of shove both of those into my last third recommendation because they're both bloody. If you got a weak stomach and you can't stand to watch crazy shit, don't go watch that movie. But yeah, go check out The Terrifier. I just had another movie that popped in my head. I'm gonna give you a fourth one just for the hell of it. The Last Shift, I believe it's called. Let me look this up on Google real quick and make sure that this is the right movie that I'm talking about, because this movie's fucking scary. Yep, here it is, The Last Shift, 2014. I think it's available on Hulu most of the time. It's available on Peacock at the moment. Pluto TV, that's free. So basically, this movie's about a young female cop who, it's like her first night, not on the job necessarily, but it's her first night watching over the station, I guess, like a graveyard shift kind of thing. And her father was a cop, and he died in the line of duty during some weird satanic Charles Manson cult shit. And we come to find out that she's working at the old police station while the new one is being set up. She's just kind of taking calls or whatever in the meantime while the new station is getting set up, right? And while she's there, she starts to witness all these weird fucking things going on, and like just all kinds of paranormal activities going on throughout the police station. She's there by herself. And all that right there is just a perfect aspect of horror, because I remember the first time I watched this movie, I was fucking shitting my pants the whole time, So, I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah, she goes through all this shit, and she starts to realize that old police station is haunted, and then it all ties in with her father's death and the people that killed her. And I don't want to go too much into it and spoil it all, but yes, go check out that movie. It's called Last Shift. It's not The Last Shift, it's just Last Shift. If you have a hard time finding it, there's the cover of it's a dude with a pentagram carved into his face. It looks kind of cheesy, but I'm telling you guys, go watch this movie and don't watch it alone. Don't watch it alone, because if you do, you're gonna be fucking calling someone in the next 10 minutes to come watch it with you. I promise. All right. And then one more movie. One more. Fifth recommendation. Fourth. Yeah, no, fifth. This would be the fifth. And it's Planet Terror. Go check out Planet Terror. That is also on Tubi right now. I think it expires in a couple days, though, so go check it out right now. It's a Robert Rodriguez film, and if you don't know who that is, that's the dude who directed Sin City. No, he didn't write it. That was Frank Miller. But he made Sin City. He made From Dusk Till Dawn. He's like best friends with Quentin Tarantino. They both have a similar style of filmmaking. They both feature in each other's films. They've collabed before. Honestly, just go check out Robert Rodriguez in general. But yes, Planet Terror and Death Proof too, because those two movies were they're made to kind of correlate with each other in the grindhouse sort of category of films. So go check both of those out. Watch, if you got the time, watch both of them back to back. Watch Planet Terror first, and then watch Death Proof after. And it's almost like a 70s theater experience is what they're trying to go for, and it really works out well. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, so that's pretty much it for this podcast. Sorry, I know I was kind of clearing my throat a lot and shit. But like I said, whoever's still listening, thank you. I appreciate it. Make sure you decode, check out Fueled When Faded. We should be releasing a new episode sometime this week. I will be sure to get another guest on here soon. And if not, then I will just talk to you guys soon. I'll give you more books to recommend. Oh, yeah, I was going to give you 3 comic books. Let's do that real quick. So 3 comic books I would recommend. My number 1 is Daredevil Father. That's Daredevil Father. And it's a whole graphic novel written by, I don't know who wrote it, but I'm pretty sure Joe Quesada is the one who did the illustrations. Maybe he wrote it, I'm not sure. But anyway, that's my number 1, Daredevil Father. Go check it out. Awesome artwork, great story. My second comic book recommendation is Kick-Ass. Go check out Kick-Ass, the whole graphic novel. The first one, I have the second one in my possession. I just haven't read it yet. Of course, I've seen the movie, but I haven't read the book yet. So go read Kick-Ass number 1, the whole first graphic novel. Very cool, very bloody, mature audiences only, kids. What's my third one? I don't know. Right now I'm reading Daredevil Hell to Pay, which is pretty good, but I guess I'll give you guys the Punisher movie special, which is a short graphic novel based on the 1989 Punisher film. And that was a really fun comic book to read. I kind of found it randomly at a shop, so I don't know how well you guys will have access to read that one. But if you get the chance, it's a really good story. You can literally read it in 30 minutes. It doesn't take you that much time at all to read the whole book. And it's awesome. And unlike the 89 film, the skull is actually used in the comic book, so that's, heck yeah, right? But yeah, those are my 3 comic books, my 3 movies, and my 3 books. So, for now, anyway, maybe next episode we'll do the same kind of format, and I'll bring you guys some different recommendations. and I'll talk my shit about them and see what you guys think. But thank you for tuning in, and thank you guys for listening, whoever's still listening. Go check out Fueled When Faded. Make sure to give them a subscribe and like the videos. If you like this sort of content or gaming videos as well, make sure you subscribe and like these videos. I'll be doing this weekly. I always drop gaming videos as well with no commentary, because you guys get to listen to me on the podcast, so why listen to me bitch about video games? No, I'm just kidding. Maybe I'll drop some video games with commentary. I don't know. I'd like to do that. I'm just not very tech savvy. I need some help from some friends to figure out how to get better at this whole YouTube thing. So, seriously, whoever's still listening, thank you. I really do appreciate it, because I don't know what I'm doing here. I'm just kind of rambling. But I hope you all have a great up late night. And thank you for tuning in once more. This is episode 4, is brought to you by Fueled When Faded. I am Chase, aka DJ Swift, and I will see you guys next week for the next episode, and I will see you guys on Fueled When Faded. So peace out, freaks and geeks. Stay weird out there.